All right, you're good to go, Carla.
Please join me in welcoming Peter Gerlach. He is a lecturer in the International Studies program at the University of Iowa and executive director of the Iowa City Foreign Relations Council. He received his BA and MA degrees in English from Ripon College, I think I pronounced that right, and the University of Northern Colorado, respectively. After serving in the U.S. Peace Corps in Mongolia, he earned a PhD in Cultural Foundations of Education from Syracuse University. Dr. Gerlach's teaching areas include international studies, international education, refugee and immigrant studies, and community engaged learning. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here and talking with all of you. So here I'm going to share a little bit about the Iowa City Foreign Relations Council. Yes, I do serve in a teaching capacity and faculty role here at the university. And so I feel like I've gotten acquainted with the University of Iowa landscape for several years now. Before this, I worked at the International Writing Program, where I ran a grant program. So in that time, I've been able to generate some good relationships across campus. And this organization is one that actually has really close ties to the University of Iowa. We're celebrating our 40th anniversary, and the organization has had those ties with the university for those full 40 years. There we go. So the Iowa City Foreign Relations Council, we seek to promote understanding of international issues by hosting community forums with expert speakers from around the world. As a nonprofit organization, our primary goal has been to invite expert speakers to talk on a number of different issues that are all internationally focused. And as I said, we've been doing this since 1983, so for 40 years now. We have recently taken a close look at our organization. As we all know, a lot happened over the pandemic period. And so our organization has grown in some ways and certainly changed in other ways. Coming out of the pandemic, and when I stepped into the leadership role as the executive director in January of last year, we took a really close look at what kind of place we want to be. And we've built around these 5 values: diversity, impact, partnerships, community, and visibility. I'll take a moment to go through each of those. In the past, our members knew us really well for who we were, but the broader community may not have been very aware of us. And we're actively trying to change that now, which means we're trying to be an organization for more people. And so while we continue to serve the Iowa City area, we are being very intentional in our outreach to lots of communities across Iowa City and more broadly across the state. Our impact. Well, we have come to believe that we shouldn't just be doing programs for program's sake. We want to have a real and lasting impact. And I'm going to talk in a little bit about what that looks like for 2024, especially the fall and the upcoming presidential elections. Partnerships, I'll show you in a little bit, all of our great partners. We're really actively trying to expand those partnerships. As I noted, we have close ties with the University of Iowa. So we've regularly partnered with the Public Policy Center, with journalism, anthropology, sociology, Center for Asian and Pacific Studies, and without question, international programs. And we have several great relationships with other nonprofits, largely in the Iowa City area and some that are further across the state. Community has meant sort of a new thing for us after the pandemic. We are actively seeking folks in the community to tell us what they want to know more about. What topics should we be discussing? What kinds of speakers should we be hosting? And visibility. So this is a really important one for us right now. Despite being around for 40 years, we have to get out now and really tell people what we're all about. Because before we had a smaller membership model, and now we're a much larger supporter model, which basically means that we are inviting far more people to our programs than we ever did before. So we have a much larger digital footprint. We promote our programs in all sorts of places that we never needed to, that we never wanted to in the past. So visibility is definitely key for us. Um, but one thing that has remained the same is connecting people on international issues, trying to expand understanding of the complicated world in which we live, and even maybe more ideally, trying to get people to be more active in the issues that they care about, in the issues that connect us locally and globally. We have a lineup of speakers every semester. The number of those programs really varies, and we've had this incredible diversity of the types of speakers that we've had over the years. Imagine 40 years of it, but you can see here we've been able to host refugees and immigrants, students, journalists, foreign service officers, scholars, authors, and a handful of years ago, we even hosted President Barack Obama when he was running for office as a senator, and the same with President Joe Biden when he was running for president. Those are our two biggest names, of course. We have to say that whenever we can, right? Um, but we have big plans for the future and inviting really compelling people. And like I said, a big part of how we want to do this now is hearing from people in the community about who they want to hear from or the topics that they really care about and want to know more about. But so that is our primary purpose. We have a lineup of speakers every semester. We sort of operate on the university calendar. As I said, this is sort of one of the ways that we've been very influenced by our relationship with the university, recognizing that in many ways our community hums along on the academic calendar. So, how we engage with the community, we do this in several ways. Our programs are now back in person, but they're in hybrid capacity now, whereas they weren't before. Um, so our programs, most of them take place at the Iowa City Public Library. So they're open and available to anybody in the community. Even people who are just passing by can step in and say, "Oh, wow, this looks really interesting. I'll sit down and listen." Um, we have also done programs recently at places like Film Scene, where we have now a really robust relationship. We're going to be doing more programs at Film Scene, filming movies that are international films or documentaries with global topics. We have done several higher profile programs at the old Capitol in the Senate chamber. Our most recent one was a panel discussion on climate change and national security, in which we featured Admiral Mike Franken, who, as you might recall, ran for the Senate, the Iowa Senate seat. And we've also done programs at specific places like Oak Knoll, where we just take our programs right to a ready audience there. So we're pretty flexible in doing that because we don't have a physical location. We don't have an office, let's say. Our office is right here in my home, sort of. We also now do a lot online. So the for those who don't know, as I did not know before we started this great relationship with the public library, they have an incredible capacity for recording and broadcasting programming. And so they record and have a live stream link at all of our programs. So while most of our programs are not in person, we always have a virtual option, a live stream option. City Channel 4, when we're not at the library, they come and do the recordings. And then those recordings, we migrate them to our website, and they exist at the public library and at City Channel 4. So the one that I mentioned that we did at the old Capitol, City Channel 4 will record those for us. We also have a long-standing relationship with you folks at the University of Iowa Libraries and the Iowa Digital Library. Um, and so programs going much further back, um, decades ago, can be found in the archives. And we use Zoom regularly uh, for bringing folks in. Our speakers, while they often are here in Iowa City, the pandemic taught us, like it did many others, that there is a world full of speakers and we should be engaging them. So we regularly have speakers who are joining us from places around the world. Um, Last semester, we had one join us from Nigeria. University of Iowa PhD student in anthropology was doing his dissertation research there. And we had a speaker who had studied at Kirkwood Community College who lives in Cote d'Ivoire or the Ivory Coast. And so they joined us from their homes on the African continent, which is always very cool to have people come from who are zooming in from places. It does sort of ingrain us as an internationally focused organization in ways that we otherwise couldn't. Um, and we've more recently in this academic year, we started doing a lot with podcasting. So we have a Global Voices podcast where two students they talk about some of our programs. They put a student spin on the programming that we do. And we've also begun taking the video recordings of our programs and turning them into audio recordings so that people can engage in another way with the programs. They don't have to watch it, but they could maybe be in the gym or in the car and listen to ICFRC programs. And then City Channel 4 has done the same. So, like I said before, we're really spreading out far and wide how people can engage with us and choose the way that makes the most sense for them. Coming in person for one, maybe coming or watching virtually for another. Listening as a podcast to yet another one. So there are lots of ways to just take advantage of the recordings. They're all free and open to the public, and they have been for 40 years. Anybody can come to our programs at any time, and those recordings are made publicly available, as I noted. What do we talk about? Well, we really cover the gamut. As you can see, the topics are really quite vast. Our feeling is that part of what makes us unique is that we don't have a narrow focus. U.S. foreign policy, for example. We like to cover lots of different topics because we think folks in our community want to learn about and have really varying interests in things that happen around the world on these different topics. So, for example, we are a community that is highly invested in the arts. And so that is just as important as a topic area as, say, U.S. foreign policy. Really, when we say that we want the community to let us know what they're interested in, we're ready to host programs on a true range of international interests. One of the other things that we have done recently is, and maybe I'll start with this one. We've started doing series, 5 or 6 generally on a single topic. The first one that we did was on refugees and immigrants in Iowa, and we have a really robust report that we did that highlights all the speakers, all the specific topics that we did that focuses on the changing dynamics and demographics here in Iowa and the greater role and importance of new Iowans in the state's communities. It was a fantastic series, most of which are panel discussions. I hosted all of these and had really amazing guests. And we learned a lot about how Iowa is changing. Um, and this is central to my own teaching. Every spring, I teach a course, and this series was inspired by that class. And so we have a real investment, a longstanding and committed investment in the growing diversity of our state. And we will continue to do programs, and I'm going to highlight one in just a moment. Our first program of the spring semester is next week, and we're going to focus yet again on refugee resettlement to Iowa City, actually. The second series that we did, we have just finished, and we called it the Global Voices Across Iowa series, combining the words global and local, taking a look at how people with close Iowa ties are also very international, and how we living in the heartland are not so far away from the wider world around us. So we had a program focusing on Ukraine, one on Jamaica, another in Nigeria, which I mentioned before, one on Syria, and the final one on the broader community of Latinos in Iowa, sort of demonstrating the ways in which we are truly an increasingly diverse state. And our next one for fall, I sort of alluded to this before, for fall of 2024, in thinking about what topics are most pressing, most timely. Well, as we all know, the Republican caucuses just happened, and I think people are ready to and feel the need to engage on the subject of politics, in particular implications for democracy in 2024. So what you see here is a list of topics. This is a series because we won't begin this until the fall. We're still developing, inviting the right kinds of speakers, and focusing on topics like these, perhaps not exactly these, but we're looking to really dig deep and have critical conversations on what democracy looks like in the United States and in countries abroad, and what that means for all of us in the face of rising autocracy and authoritarianism in the world. I think this is going to be a really, really exciting series, and we'll have more information about this soon on our website. As I noted before, amongst our values, impact is quite high. We're always thinking about what are we doing and why are we doing it? What impact are we having in our community? And so we think a lot about how many folks we engage with and the ways that we do this, the number of programs that we do with partners, because we want to be really intentional about not just doing this ourselves, but finding like-minded organizations in Iowa City and further out. And like I noted before, having speakers that truly represent the diversity in our state, and finding ways to make sure that these programs are available and accessible, not the privileged space of, let's say, even here at the University of Iowa, one has to, for the most part, pay quite a bit to take classes that are reserved for those who enroll in them. We want our our programs in some way to feel like classes, because there's significant learning opportunity, but not have it be difficult to participate in. We do have many partners, like I noted. This is incredibly important for us. We do partner with a lot of places on campus, as I touched on before, and our list of really valued friends is growing, increasingly further out. We're finding all sorts of new friends, particularly in Washington, D.C. and New York City, where our programs have experts from lots of places. We'll be doing a program this spring with the U.S. Institute of Peace. We did one last semester with the American Security Project. And we're growing and we're deepening ties with the World Affairs Councils of America. And so you can see here just a sampling of some of the organizations that we work closely with. Our leadership team, some of you may know some of these folks. Our board president is Janet Linus. I am the executive director. James Dykeman was trained at the University of Iowa, was a student here. Onyeche is a current PhD student. Well, actually, she just graduated. And Sunday Goshit teaches with me in the International Studies program. And Tice is a leader, a true leader in our community at Midwest One Bank. And this is the fuller board of directors. Some of you may know Brett Cloyd. He's been on our board for quite a while, and you might know some of you Dave Martin. He is a retired librarian and a great guy. We have 3 interns currently, all University of Iowa students, Rajvi, Sahithi, and Sophia. We're really proud of them and all the amazing work that they're doing for the organization. Here are our next 2 programs. As I said, the very next one is next week, Tuesday. Working with refugees and displaced persons, the International Rescue Committee in Iowa. The IRC is one of the largest and most long-standing refugee resettlement agencies on the planet. And they've been around since just before the Second World War. And as their origin story notes, their creation was thought up by Albert Einstein, of all people, who said, we need an organization that supports people who are displaced by conflict and war. And so the IRC has just opened an office in 2023 in Des Moines that represents the state, and are opening a satellite office here in Iowa City. I should say they have just opened their office in December and January. And their director, Sarah, and one of their staff members, Amaranth, are going to be our speakers next week. And they're going to talk about the 100 plus new refugees that will be resettled into Iowa City over the next coming months. Our second program this semester is going to be in pursuit of food justice globally and locally. And this program is going to focus on the subject of food justice, the idea that all of us deserve to have healthy food accessible to us and in a means of production that is sustainable and equitable. And the featured program will be the Global Food Project of Johnson County, that is run through Iowa City Compassion, IC Compassion. And so there we'll have 3 amazing speakers, a panel representing different areas of the subject as well as the Global Food Project. So I hope you'll come out and join us for those 2. We'll be serving food at both. And here you can see the date and time for those programs. The picture behind is actually, this was a really cool program that we did at Film Scene where we, that one was a lot of fun. We hosted the documentary TikTok Boom, thinking about, timely things and this, the social media app that everyone seems to love, TikTok, and it takes a critical look at that app and what its implications are for society in the US and abroad. And we invited the filmmaker Here you can see on the big screen, she joined us for a 30-minute Q&A that I moderated. And so we screened the film and then had this fantastic discussion with the person who created the film. Um, so how we'd love folks, all of you at the libraries, to be a part of our organization. There are lots of things. Attend our events. That's maybe the best and easiest way in some regards, and to refer other people if you can't go, but you think the topics are really great, um, and you think others would enjoy them. We'd love for you to help us spread the word through social media. We have a monthly newsletter and email correspondence that we send out. Trying not to load up anybody's inbox. We all know the University of Iowa does a great job of loading us up in our email inboxes. Um, and partnership development. Like I said, we want to hear from the community who would like to engage internationally and be talking about the issues that matter to people in our community. We'd love to hear from you all about people you think be great speakers. They truly lots of different kinds of folks. We believe that expertise doesn't mean one thing. It means lots of different things. Some folks do research. Some people are scholars. Some have professional experience. Others have lived experience, all of which is true expertise. And we love, of course, for folks in the libraries to support us, to become a financial supporter and help identify grants so that we can continue to do this really important work. Yeah, with that, I'd love to take questions from folks that have them. And again, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you all.
All right, amazing. Thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording if I can.